back to This Is My Bourbon Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Perry, and returning because he just couldn't stay away any longer. It's the Whiskey Mutant.
It's been too long. It's been too long. One episode is too long. I can't take it.
I am so happy you're back, man.
Well, I'm happy to be here. And like I said earlier, it was nice listening to my first episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast in years.
Like 3 years.
Yeah. So go listen to it if you haven't. It's a good episode. But yes, I'm happy to be back. I'm refreshed, energized, and ready to make content.
Let's make some. And, of course, thank you to Brian Bikey, Mr. Abandoned Bourbon himself, for filling in last week. It was a huge help. It was a great conversation. If you haven't listened to it yet, go and do so. But maybe after this episode.
Yeah, don't stop it right now.
Because we got a lot of stuff we got to do.
You can go back.
This week's episode.
Promise, no spoiler alerts for that episode.
And if you want to listen to the uncut version of that episode, you can head to the Patreon page. That's patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. But $5 a month is where the bonus content is, including that uncut episode, the pregame chats, which comes out before every single episode every week. And then a bonus episode that comes out every Monday
bonus
as well. So all good stuff over there. We are kicking off this week with an unboxing.
Yeah.
Which I think is supposed to lead into Flying Blind or Sips and Snacks. Or
whatever's in this box is what we're going to do.
If there's durian in there.
Oh, Lord. Thanksgiving's coming up. And who are we thankful for? Mr. Don Nishita. Because this is from him, and I know whatever's in this box.
Well, we're thankful for all of our supporters, but
I mean,
right now we're specifically thankful for Don Nishita.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they get that, but if you want me to say I'm thankful for you, send me some stuff.
Which, by the way, first time I'm mentioning this on the podcast, we got a P.O. Box!
P.O. box.
Whoa!
Snack time.
But yes, we do have a P.O. box now. It'll be open for people to send stuff to. The address is going to be in the description below. I'll put it up here on screen as well if you're watching the video version.
Look at all these.
Holy moly, dude.
Finger licking braised pork flavor.
What?
Chips. They're chips.
Oh, we gonna be eating some of them. I hope. It's your
Maui
snacks.
cookies, macadamia nut, Nom's dino eggs. That looks fun.
Oh,
baby banana castella, made in Japan. I'm thankful for Japan too. Japan has a Thanksgiving. It's called Labor Thanksgiving, and it's like their Labor Day.
Huh? I didn't know that.
It's on the 23rd
of November.
Yes.
Huh?
Look at all the Kit Kats.
Woo!
Oops. There's a bottle of whiskey.
Maybe it's whiskey.
Pancake mix. Chocolate macadamia nut. What? Nom's belts. Covered in lemon peel. Interesting. Mini bit. Classic cheese sand cookies.
Whoa.
Ooh, we got some Oreos that have two flavors in them. I can't read the...
Here, I'll use Google Translate.
And I got a newspaper.
Tell me the news here, Eric.
Well, it's the sports page, so that's fun. This was from... it was just November 5th. I want to read about the Star Advertiser Sports here.
Okay, so this says... Sweet and not greasy.
He sent a whole bottle of whiskey.
Smooth filling sweet sandwich, just right sweet.
What?
Imported cocoa powder. Rich cocoa is so delicious.
Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa puff. Some Hawaii. Did we have this before? Koopa?
I don't think so.
Koopa Trooper?
Huh?
I got this.
Give it a lick.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so I don't know what flavor this is.
Well,
wait, here we go.
It's strawberry and blueberry, maybe?
Raspberry and blueberry. There we go. Yeah, this says sweet and not greasy again.
I like it. Greasy Strangler.
Oh, no.
So we've got Kupu Spirits whiskey. Aged on the slopes of Halikikala. Hopefully I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. Small batch. Distilled from a blend of corn, rye, and malted barley, then aged in new charred American oak barrels.
So it's bourbon.
It's bourbon.
It's Hawaiian bourbon.
Kupu Spirits. Open it up.
Okay.
Let's pair it up with something. One of these snacks. What do you want to... We don't even have to pair it. Let's see if those Oreos really aren't greasy.
Okay. What if they are? What if they're just dripping in grease?
Look at all these snacks. I cannot wait. We're going to have this later.
Yes, sir.
These chips. We might make some pancakes, too. These noms look like a fun little treat. I guess I should show this off. People are going to yell at me. They're going to be like, I can't see the snacks. There they are. Nom, 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 noms. Kit Kats. Look at these little banana guys. Look at them guys.
This is crazy.
And then, yeah, here's the braised pork flavored Lay's. Look at that.
Here's the bottle, by the way.
Kupu?
Too. Kupu Spirits.
All right. Let's try Kupu by itself. Let's give it little drinky drink. It's only 80 proof, I think.
88.
88. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Don.
Thank you, Don.
Cheers to the listeners.
Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
It does smell lower proof.
It reminds me of... smelling it reminds me of the yellow label Four Roses.
I was thinking closer to like Evan Williams.
Think so?
Yeah.
I like it though.
I'm not opposed to it, but
it's a little floral and just bourbon. It's got a minty finish. Like chocolate mint.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. You're welcome.
All right. This is my high proof hot take. I'm gonna
already. Let's do it.
I have reached peak The Rock capacity. I can't. No. I'm. I can't.
Can't do it anymore.
I can't do it anymore, man. I can't handle this. Oh. We can eat that whole thing in one sitting.
Sorry.
No, I just can't do The Rock anymore, man.
I mean, he's a big guy. It's hard to do every day.
Well,
this is
let's
good.
be honest. He does meat.
Yeah. Let's be honest. I like this.
I actually really am a fan of this.
To be 80 proof, it's got like a really
88.
88, sorry. To be 88 proof, below 90, it's got a real spicy nose and finish to me that I don't feel like I get in a lot of stuff under 90 proof.
Brother, this is...
I wonder if they have a barrel strength version of this.
Oh.
Guess we'll have to ask him. He'll tell us.
I like this quite a bit.
Hawaii, Japan, wherever this came from. Oh my gosh, it smells like yogurt.
Huh, okay. Yes, it does.
It smells like yogurt, like berry yogurt.
Interesting.
Oh, I like that a lot. That chocolate mixed with that berry is super delicious.
Oh, man.
There you go. Look, it's just, you can't see the pink, which is, how it normally goes. You have to get, this is great. I'm going to do a pour over.
Oh, I just ate the whole cookie.
We got more. Oh. I will say, the pairing itself does not create anything new.
Yeah, it's just kind of whiskey and cookies.
But the spice that I was getting on that little bit of spice just kind of makes this like a spicy treat. I don't mind it. Well, Don, thank you.
Seriously.
May
as well. You only get... Now, these are actually Chinese Oreos, too.
Chinese?
Yeah.
Okay. They're good. I like them. Real good.
All right, then. Very cool. What have you been drinking recently?
Well, the reason I wasn't here last week because I was at Disney. Mm-hmm. So I will sound like a broken record most of the time because every time I come back from Disney, I tell you what I've been drinking, and I usually drink the same thing. So speed round, what have I been drinking? Single barrel Knob Creek Parks and Resort while I was there. Several old fashions. We got to go to Trader Sam's Tiki Bar, which if you've never been there, it's in the Polynesian Resort. Go there, put your name on the list. The drinks are all kind of themed. So when somebody orders a certain drink, something in the room happens, like the glass.
That's cool.
I will say we had to leave to go to dinner, but they did say, hey, if you stick around a little bit longer, we kick all the kids out, and it's more of an adult bar.
Oh, man.
So after like 9 o'clock,
there's boobies.
Yeah, they have tiki dancers. Like dancers come out, they're naked. No, I'm just, I don't know what happens, honestly.
Disney's really changed.
Yeah, I don't know what happens, but they just told me that. So I had that.
That's what happens when Bob Iger comes back and takes over.
Polite Pig, I had a pour of their Stag single barrel pick, which was delicious. Yeah, Disney Springs. I got to have my favorite old fashioned at Epcot, the corn old fashioned.
Yes, sir.
Over in Mexico. It's made with tequila and Wilderness Trail rye. If you're in the Discord, you saw everything because I post everything. Yeah. I had a what they called. Everybody gave me shit about it, but it was a drink. It was a Jim Beam apple cider drink, and they put a piece of pork.
A turd.
A piece of pork. Everybody said it was a turd.
It looked like poop, dude.
I mean, it might have looked like it, but it tasted good.
I'm sure it did.
But yeah, the little what's the garnish on it was a piece of like pork, and it was delicious. It's called the swine brine.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Jim Beam, apple cider, a little bit of lemon I think it had in it, and then a piece of pork. On the plane, I had just some Buffalo Trace. I packed with me nothing but barrel proof.
That's how you do it.
Knob Creek, Lodge Creek barrel proof, Jack Daniels barrel proof, Old Forester barrel proof. And I had to make a mutant brew. So I was at Hollywood Studios and I went to Joffrey's coffee stand and I did the cold brew, but I added Bailey's and I added some Irish whiskey and I was feeling good by like 9 o'clock.
Yep.
And that's before
then you crashed it too.
And then I crashed it too. And then I came back on Sunday and immediately went back into the madness of the real world with the kids. And then I went straight back to work Monday. And I haven't had really anything since then. So.
Well, I'll say this before I get into what I've been drinking. For some reason, it was like everybody was gone last weekend. Like you were gone. Lucy and Eden were gone. My parents were gone. Sarah was gone at one point too. It was just like,
that man.
Everybody was busy. So I had an excuse then to go to Chad and Sarah's big bourbon night. Where they were raising money for Toys for Tots. Basically, you paid money and it was all you could drink.
What'd you drink?
Oh, what did I drink indeed? The night began with an 8-year-old Turkey 101 from the 90s. Mm. Nice and dusty.
Okay.
They had a Wild Turkey Tradition there as well. They had one bottle of every single pick that they have ever done. It was like 40 bottles, dude. It was crazy.
So they lied to me.
What do you mean?
I said, I love the Sweet Science. And he's like, we ain't got any more. Chad.
Well, he was they were holding on to a bottle for this event.
Why didn't you say, well, we only have one bottle. We're keeping it for an event. He said, we ain't got any more. I'm going to get him.
I still don't think he lied to you.
He did.
He gave me a lot of crap that night, by the way, too. Yeah, I was his punching bag for a little while.
You punching back, Annie?
I defended myself.
It's time to punch Chad back. All of the chats.
I defended myself. We had a spirited conversation about the episode from a few weeks ago.
Yes.
I defended us very, very well, I would say.
Good.
He had some concerns with what we said and how we said things. And I said, we don't want to be like that all the time. It was just... oh, by the way, yes, I know that Brown-Forman has a bottle out for $2,500. I think you can probably assume what my opinion on it is. No, we're not going to talk about every single expensive bottle like we did.
They've already put out a Woodford bottle that was thousands of dollars.
$1,000.
They've done this before.
I can't live in a negative liminal space.
They've done it before.
For the rest
we don't
of
have to
the
talk
podcast
about
life.
it. We've talked about
it just. Sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I said anything. I'm sorry I'm passionate about this. I'm sorry I was energetic. I'm sorry I got frustrated.
I'm not sorry.
But I can't do this all the time. Like, I'm tired, okay? I'm tired. And just
stop.
Sick of it. Sick of it. But
anyway, you defended us good.
I defended us, and then at one point, the night was wrapping up, and they were people were coming up and taking pictures with Chad and Sarah. And he came outside. We were hanging out, us sitting with Todd, Cooper, Mike and Jenny. Danny's Candies was there too.
Danny's Candies.
Got to meet Danny. Yeah.
Who's that?
Well, he's been a supporter of the show for a long time.
Oh, I've never seen a Danny's Candies.
He's been in the live stream chats for
Does he
years
have
at this
candy?
point. Yes, he does.
Why didn't you send me no candy?
Well, we'll get some candy.
Give me some candy, Danny.
Also got to meet our new buddy, Barrel Proof EDC.
Oh, yeah?
He was there.
Nice.
Talked some more about that episode, too.
Yeah.
Mike Meyer showed up as well.
And you survived?
I did.
You're alive still?
Yeah. Just a crazy amount of people. Names that I'm forgetting as well. I'm sorry. We hung out with Ray was there too. We hung out with Ray in our little smoking area. But Chad came out and they got done taking pictures and he was like, "Hey Perry, why didn't you come in and take a picture with us like you did when you first met me in 2017 at Comic-Con?" I was like, "Brother, don't play this game with me right now."
This guy.
I'm not too big for my britches, Chad. Anyway, so they had, and like I said, it was basically an open bar.
Yeah.
Before I got there, the George T. Stag was gone.
Nice, of course.
There was a stag pick from Total Wine, I think. I can't remember exactly. That was gone before I was able to get to it. Surprisingly, the Weller Foolproof pick that they had from the Wisebird Lounge was not gone, so I had a little bit of that.
I love that.
But I lived mostly for that night on two picks of theirs. Their Drink 1792 pick, their Foolproof pick, and Mash Made in Heaven, which was their 13-year-old
Knob Creek.
14-year-old Knob Creek pick that they did for their wedding, which baller move, man. I mean,
yeah,
you gotta respect the game, right? I had a bottle of it at one point. It was so good that it just doesn't exist anymore.
Ain't no Knob Creek blast around your hands.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I actually brought a bottle for tonight or later or whatever. Oh, I also got something else for us to open up later as well.
Oh.
I found another C923 Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Well, I found another. This is the only one I've actually found.
Where do we get
in the wild? Heaven Hill.
Oh, yeah.
But I ran into Total Wine. No, not Total Wine. Liquor Barn. Wednesday?
Just sitting, chilling?
Yeah, it was behind the counter.
Did you go get
But-
lunch?
What do you mean?
Did you go to lunch and just so happened to find that at lunch?
Oh, no, I did not. No. No, this was after work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But had a pretty good week, man.
Sounds good.
that was what kind of killed my palate. I was telling you on Simply Irresistible, this week's Patreon bonus episode, that I had been kind of on a palate break this week. Part of that was because of how much I drank that Friday night, and also because and I hate doing this. I ate hot food before it was cool enough to eat, and I burned my tongue.
Burnt your tongue.
So for
you
like
literally burnt your palate.
So for like 4 days, I could taste nothing but alcohol heat when I drink.
What were you eating? What burnt you?
What am I making?
Pizza?
No, it was one of my Factor meals.
Grilled cheese?
No, it
Grilled
was
chicken.
it was like grilled chicken,
No.
something like that. But yeah, otherwise Turkey 101.
There you go.
What about for Thanksgiving? You have anything you've lined up for your Thanksgiving pours yet?
No.
Me neither.
I haven't had time to think about anything.
I think I'm gonna get I got a handle of 101 the other day, so that'll probably be the bottle that I carry around to all of our
All day.
Thanksgivings we have to go
bring
to.
out that one of those ryes we had the other day.
Yeah, I'll probably grab a rare breed
Yeah.
too before it gets too late. But I mean, otherwise,
It is what it is.
I did come up with a good idea for our Thanksgiving
What?
TikTok. I'll talk about it off air.
Okay. I'll be ready. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't think of anything right now.
I got an idea.
And I know.
I'm not saying I got a couple of ideas that I need some help like fleshing out,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be as high production, I don't think, as it was last time. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure
We'll figure it out. This is My Bourbon Podcast is brought to you by Reship. Eric, the holidays are coming up.
They are.
And there's always that one person on your list who is asking for something that you just cannot get in your standard U.S. stores.
It's probably me, and it's my wife that's trying to figure out something to buy for me.
Right.
I'm that person.
Yeah, you're the problem.
I'm the problem. It's me.
That's where our friends over at Reship come in. They are a virtual mall that helps you with shipping from all across the globe. It is an innovative global shopping and shipping platform that connects customers around the world with their favorite brands in Canada, the UK, and the USA with no sales tax address.
We've got friends in Canada
do
and
indeed.
the UK. This is perfect.
It provides a unique solution to international shopping limitations by offering customers their personal addresses in these countries, thereby enabling them to shop as if they were locals. Now that is incredible.
That's like a shopping VPN or something, right?
That's exactly what that is,
Yeah.
Eric. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, it could be that you're looking for, say, maybe a whiskey overseas that you are not able to get in the United States, and you're trying to, you're just trying to get yourself a little something extra, a little something special.
All those imports everybody likes, and they say, look what I got.
So Reship is here to help you out with that. With your own Reship address, you can purchase from an extensive variety of online stores across the USA, Canada, and the UK, even if those stores do not offer international shipping. This service is particularly beneficial as well for those sought-after items that are exclusive to these markets or hard-to-find products that your local stores don't carry. And if you head to the link in the description below this video, this episode, however you're listening to, enjoying This Is My Bourbon Podcast, you can sign up with that link. And not only are you able to get all of these benefits from Reship, you are also supporting This Is My Bourbon Podcast just by signing up. That is right. By following our link, you are supporting TIMBP and the boys who are behind the mics.
Somebody likes Dragon Ball Z figures.
And it's probably me. You are talking about me, right?
Both of us.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But mainly you right now. You collect those.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're special around the world.
Thank you to Reship for sponsoring This Is My Bourbon Podcast. This Is My Bourbon Podcast is brought to you by Adam and Eve. Eric, as we like to say, we're two adult men.
We're adults.
With adult wives.
With adult wives, we do adult things, and that's perfectly fine. But we understand that some people like to kind of keep it a little secret, a little discreet. And that's what Adam and Eve does.
That is true. Adam and Eve is the leading retailer online for the best adult sex toys, rather, and adult novelties in the business. They were founded in 1971, so they have over 40 years of experience serving over 10 million customers. They maintain a sex-positive philosophy. We're sex-positive.
I'm all about it.
I am positive
I'm positive about sex.
And Adam and Eve is the nation's largest marketer of adult products with millions of satisfied customers nationwide. Keyword there. Satisfied.
Satisfied.
The company offers customers the latest products at the most competitive prices with outstanding service. And at Adam and Eve, customers can choose from a large array of adult sex toys, lingerie, lubes, lotions, condoms, and novelty items. And if you use the Adam and Eve link in the description below, you not only can support your sex life, but you can support your boys.
Yeah.
That's right. You support This Is My Bourbon Podcast by heading to adameve.com in the description below. Thank you so much to Adam and Eve for supporting the show, and thank you for thinking about supporting your ongoing sex life. It's important, people.
Yeah, you just reminded me I got to order something new.
We are incredibly excited to be welcoming back to This Is My Bourbon Podcast Tripp Stimson, the head blender, and you're just kind of like a jack of all trades at Barrell at this point too, right, Tripp?
You wear a lot of different hats when you start with an idea and turn it into something.
Yeah, man. It's been since 2020 that we chatted, and there have been a lot of big ongoing changes within the company since then. So first of all, I just want to kind of ask you how you been, man. How have things felt since the pandemic kind of ended, and as you've gone back to a normal state of operation with Barrell?
Yeah, it's kind of been a whirlwind for us, with the everything that unfortunately happened during 2020. It drove a lot of people to explore the bourbon industry. I guess everybody was at home, and so I guess there is a silver lining to an unfortunate situation. But a lot of people were exploring the bourbon offerings of the industry, and so we've continued to grow through that. We had a lot of hurdles to go through, and that's right about the time we were expanding into our new facility. We bought a new building in 2020. It was at the end of 2020 we actually purchased the building and started plans for our operational expansion. So you can imagine how difficult that was during that time.
Sure.
Buying the building and starting the design work and really figuring out what we were gonna do, how we were gonna lay everything out. So we can talk more about that moving forward. But yeah, man, things are great. Things are exciting. We're actually in that space now.
Yes, you are.
So yeah, things are awesome.
Did you feel any kind of pressure when you were going into the creation of the blend that was exclusive to the release of the new space?
Are you talking about the 10-year anniversary?
Yes, the 10-year anniversary. Sorry.
So that was a fun thing that we put together. We were just talking about all the things that were going on. So we're literally right before our grand opening. We're going through this process of getting our final inspection, getting all the licenses in place, and all of this literally happens the Thursday before our grand opening in the next week. So everything sort of came together at once. And while all this is going on, we're thinking, we should probably have some sort of celebratory blend to help, bring this thing home. And so we started working on our 10th anniversary blend. That's what we toasted on at our grand opening, and it was a huge hit. So a lot of fun putting that together.
And in lieu of that as well, you guys have introduced this new product too, the Foundation, this 5-year minimum, just kind of ready on the shelf pour too. When we first talked back in 2020, I remember asking you specifically too about like what your favorite batch was at the time, and your answer was the next one. So I imagine that things had to shift mentally for you and the team when you were crafting this, because this isn't the next one now. This is the one at this point, right?
Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up, because that is my typical response to that question. It's the next one. And the reason that is because we're always coming up with new ideas and trying to work it, blending the next big release, whatever that's going to be. And so while we have lots of favorites along the way for different reasons, there's so much focus that goes into sort of laying the platform and approaching the process for whatever release we're working on, that it takes so much of that focus that it really is my favorite at the time. I mean, it's eating up all my energy creating that product. So it really does become my favorite. But Foundation specifically, up until Foundation, everything we had done for the 10 years prior had always been cask strength. We started out with our batches where we would blend limited release, one-off batches, everything at cask strength, and we sort of transitioned into whiskeys, and then we started doing some finishing work where we would finish whiskeys in one type of cask and use a different blend of whiskeys with that cask, and then it was, if we can get these types of flavors out of one cask, maybe we should try two casks. And then it was multiple mash bills across multiple casks. And so at each one of these steps, we're creating lots of different types of flavor that can then be used as components in more complex blends. So when you really embrace that process, the sky's really the limit. The trick is that you still want to taste everything that's going into that blend. And so as we sort of proceed through the years, we're getting more and more complex with the grain bills we're using, the states and distilleries that we're using, the ages, the type of maturation, the cask, the toast and char level. And so all of these things are coming into play. And then we're going outside of that, and we're finding all of these interesting types of casks all over the world that are bringing unique flavors in and of themselves that, again, help to sort of build this flavor matrix that we're creating across all of the components that go into making blends. And so that really gets us through a lot of the finished stuff that we've done. A lot of that goes into the private release series that we talked about last time. And it brings us up to this first release called Barrell Foundation, that is the first product we've ever released that was not cask strength. And so what really got us to doing that is that, we see what's going on in the world. We're consumers too. And we know that whiskey can be expensive a lot of times. And what Foundation does is it, on a couple of different levels, is a very approachable product that can be consumed neat, on the rocks and in cocktails. It's a very complex product, but it gives consumers the opportunity to enter the Barrell Craft Spirits portfolio at a little bit lower price point than where you typically find our cask strength batches and finishes. And so at about $55 on the shelf, you get a very complex blend in Foundation, age stated at 5 years old, but there's 5, 6, 8, and 9-year-old whiskey in there from several different states. Yeah. And what was really fun about creating this product is that we use the tools in our toolbox that we've created all these other products with to create Foundation. And so traditionally, when you blend cask strength products together, you're taking all of this concentrated flavor at high alcohol, blending it together, and you're still maintaining that complex high level of alcohol and flavor concentration. When you start diluting all of the individual components, some of the flavors that you're after can sometimes disappear a little bit. Sometimes they get covered up. That perception threshold really begins to shift in different directions. and you start to lose some of the flavors that maybe you want in that blend. So using our using our process that we go through to create blends, to blend something that's not cask strength at 100 proof, but maintaining the flavor complexity in the finished product was a real challenge and a lot of fun to do.
I really appreciate too that with this being an introduction to Barrell Craft Spirits, it doesn't feel so different though from the other products that you all have built practically throughout this. I mean, it feels very much like it's got the depth of richness and complexity that batches like 21 and 9 and 15 did, that were such standouts for people, and this is, I feel like, almost antithetical to the way that a lot of brands would build their portfolio, in that they would start out with a lower proof product and then come back around to something higher proof. But to me, this shows more of your all's persistence of building your craft. So I mean, I've got to say, kudos to that, man. I mean, y'all have really built something special with this release.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you kept it 100 proof, because like right now, like I'm in like a spot where like I'm buying less and I'm looking for more of those bottles that can just sit in the kitchen. And if I want to pour it neat, like you just said, if I want to pour it neat, or my wife likes old fashions, like I could do this. It's not high proof. She doesn't like too much high proof in her old fashions, and I don't like too many things that are under like 90 proof and things like that. So you kind of hit that sweet spot at 100 proof, and you made it affordable, and you made it something that's like a utility that I can sit in the kitchen. And if it, people drink it neat, they put it on ice, they put it in a cocktail, it tastes good. And I can tell just by drinking it neat, it's going to taste good in all those ways anyway. And plus it's affordable, so I can just, go out and grab another one. So I appreciate you looking at the whole picture like that, because yeah, like you said, right now, whiskey's getting expensive.
Yes, it is. That's been an ongoing conversation on the podcast over the past few weeks, is just how wild the market has gotten, though. But I have to ask, too, specifically about this. Did it just kill you a little bit to have to proof down the blend when you started with it at cask strength?
It's, personally, no. It really didn't. And I'll tell you why. Me personally, I do like cask strength products, but I also like good flavor. And not all bourbons that I like are cask strength. And there are a lot of people in the bourbon market who don't drink cask strength, but would appreciate complex, flavorful products. So really what this did is give us an opportunity to reach out to those people who might not know who Barrell Craft Spirits is, those people who, are consumers of fine bourbon, but, cask strength's just not their thing. This gives them the opportunity to see what sort of complexity and flavor can be built into a product that's not cask strength. That's, it's middle of the road, right? 100 proof's kind of middle of the road for bourbon proof these days. And to be able to build that type of flavor into a 100 proof product shows people what can be done. And also it opens the door and segues into a lot of the other types of products that we create with the same sort of process in mind.
I think that what can get lost a lot of times for bourbon enthusiasts, bourbon collectors, whatever, is this notion that those who are building product likely are keeping the consumer in mind, right, throughout their process of actually curating what goes into the bottle. But on the flip side of that, there are people who don't always line up with what you're trying to put into a bottle. Was there any kind of like active talk about, for somebody who maybe, saw the price point closer to $100 or the higher proof? I mean, was that conscious, or was that something that you all just kind of were like, hey, it's time to move into this?
Again, I think the conversation was more about having a product that, from a purchase price, is a little more inviting in the bourbon space, but also having the flavors and the complexity hold up in a product that is dilute from cask strength, and still be able to be enjoyed either neat on the rocks and hold up in a cocktail. So it was multifaceted as we
Sure.
made that decision to move in that direction.
We've run into our own little challenge, and this is nothing against Barrell by any means. It's us trying to convince, because we're at this point, like, life as far as the life of a bourbon drinker goes, lifelong fans of what you all do, and
Thank you.
we've been trying to get people to buy our Barrell Rye pick. It finished in Armagnac casks. We partnered with David of the Whiskey Ring podcast with this blend of rye whiskeys. And
I just did a podcast with David not too long ago.
oh, did you really?
Yeah, and we talked about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
He's a wonderful friend, a wonderful guy, great friend of the show and everything. But this is, I mean, truly one of my favorite picks that we've ever gotten to do. But have you had the chance to try this one?
I did try it. It's an excellent choice.
We got the approval.
Yes,
That's
it was a very unique picking experience too, because it's almost like we all three picked it separately. Like Perry Perry sampled it on his own. I sampled it on my own. David kind of sampled it along with Perry on their own, and we all came to the same agreement on that sample. So
Yeah.
it was like, it is, and I will be the first to admit right now, I'm in like a finished whiskey like fatigue at the moment, because I think we're seeing it everywhere. And this is, I do enjoy this one a lot, but I think I was telling Perry earlier, I was gonna ask you, is like, do you ever you're blending something up, or you're drinking a single barrel and you're getting ready to put it in a cask, and you just want to like stop and be like, I don't know if this one needs to go in a cask. You're like, maybe we need to rethink this. Does that come up a lot, or you're kind of just focused and you're like, this has got to go in that cask or whatever, and it's going to go in there? Do you ever like kind of second guess yourself of whether that should be its own thing?
It's a great question, and we go through that dilemma all the time. So when you have a bunch of SKUs, and you've got, we had a single barrel program, and then we have the private release program, and then we have blends, and then we have different series of products, and then we have our evergreens. And so, all of these things sort of have characteristics in and of themselves, and then there's some carryover between the two. And so we're constantly tasting all these different, lots or groupings of barrels, trying to find unique ones that sort of get earmarked for all these different, special blends or special individual barrel projects. And there are so many times where we will taste one of those barrels and say, man, this is great. Let's finish it in this. And then we'll back up and say, well, wait a minute. Maybe we should put this in a batch. And then we'll say, well, if we put it in a batch, though, then we're going to lose certain characteristics. This barrel's so good on its own. So sometimes we'll just set that barrel aside, because it's the constant dilemma of, there's so much unique characteristic in this one specific barrel that we want to hold on to it. If we put it in the finishing cask, it's going to change. If we put it in a blend, it's going to do great things for that blend, but maybe we lose some of the characteristic of the cask. So there's this constant back and forth of trying to make that decision. And it's never easy. It's never easy to make those decisions.
I imagine that part of the like bourbon enthusiast, bourbon drinker, bourbon lover, that part of your brain kind of comes out in some of those moments too.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
sometimes I find myself saying, well, maybe I need to take a 750 of this and just set it on the shelf and hold on to
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
I don't want to let it all go.
I want to also talk a little bit more about the kind of the state of finishing with Barrell, as well, because to me, I feel like the past couple of years have taken a little bit of focus off of the finishing process that you guys did for a while, and has kind of shifted more to looking at, specific batches, or, the actual like craft of building spirits, that are on a particular batch in a particular batch. Is that something that am I off base with that kind of assumption there?
I think we still have our fundamental focus on blending bourbon. So we still do the batch bourbons, all that's still in place. And then, when we go into finishing again, that's more of a flavor quest, as I'll say sometimes, about seeking out unique flavors to build into products that are greater than the sum of their parts, right? So, once we get outside of the traditional batch bourbon blends, we have our evergreen series. We call them evergreens because they're always available. The Seagrass, the Dovetail, the Vantage, those products are all finished in 3 separate casks. They're multiple blends using different mash bills that are all they're blended together to create the product. With the Seagrass and the Dovetail using casks that previously had something in them. And then the Vantage, where we used toasted American oak, French oak, and the Mizunara and all of those were made for us. Those were all virgin barrels, never had anything in them. Using the virgin wood to see exactly what sort of contribution from the wood to the whiskey we would get across the different mash bills and the different ages, and then using all of that liquid to then put component blends together and then blend to get the finished product, get the final product. The process is very similar across all of those. So the finishing, I think we're staying pretty true to what we do in the process of finishing, while still holding true on the batch, the traditional bourbon blends, if you will, the traditional batch bourbon blends.
I think part of what part of the reason that I think I'm more aware of this kind of shift to, or the way that I feel like it's a shift, is because Eric and I have had just an ongoing conversation about, how everything seems like it's finished right now, and you have to, play by XYZ rules right now to kind of keep up with it. But I am curious, just from a producer standpoint. I mean, do you all feel any of that pressure to keep up with some of that? Like, Amberana is a great example. Everything is coming out as Amberana finished right now. And it's not that you all didn't have an Amberana finish, but you all took a different approach to it too. You blended in unfinished bourbon to kind of cut some of that. But did you all feel any of that innate pressure, or was that something that you kind of were like, we could make this work in our own way?
Well, I would say specifically to Amberana, and I'm sure you've had multiple expressions of Amberana.
We had some earlier.
When you taste Amberana directly out of the barrel, it is extremely polarizing. It is very, very concentrated flavor, almost to the point where it could be difficult to drink, more than just a little bit. And so we started playing with Amberana, over, it's been probably a year and a half or so now. We started playing with Amberana finished whiskeys with the plan to release something. And what we found is that it was so incredibly concentrated at a very young age that in order to reduce that contribution from the barrel, we're going to have to do some interesting blends so that you can still get whiskey contribution as well as the finish from the Amberana barrel. And so that took a little bit of time to really fine tune that. And just a quick example of how quickly you get contribution from Amberana. We pulled samples after a week, and there was hands down no doubt in my mind that this had been an Amberana barrel. mean, it was so concentrated, you could pop the cork from across the room and smell it. And so that's after 1 week. And so we've had stuff in there for over a year, just kind of seeing where it goes, pull samples and everything else. But again, when we go back to our blending style, the goal here is not to cover up whiskey. The goal is to put blends together so that whiskeys accentuate each other and then finishes further accentuate the blend so that you get all of those characteristics all at the same time. And the overall consumption of the whiskey becomes an experience, not just a drink.
Do you have like a competitive nature about you? Because I feel like, me personally, I think some of the first finished stuff I ever tried was barrel, and like I feel like you all have been doing it for a while, for the longest maybe. I know there's been like sherry casks, all this stuff, but do you ever like scroll through like social media or somebody sends you something and you're just like, I did that first? Because I feel like I would be that way, because I do stuff with like pairing snacks and stuff with whiskey, and like I had done some like years ago, and then all of a sudden somebody posts something and they're like, I've figured out this pairing, and I'm just like, I did that already. But
what do you mean figured out? Yeah.
But do you have that, or do you just kind of like, everybody's doing their own thing, but you're just going to stay in your path and keep trucking? Or do you get a little competitive, or do you ever have that desire to just be like, we did that already?
Well, so a couple of different answers to that. One, I don't do much on social media. I'm not that guy. And two, I think as human beings, we're a little competitive. I think, we don't have much of a choice when it comes to being competitive to some degree. I think it's just built into us.
Sure.
But if you go back 10 years ago, again, when we first started, there were lots of people building distilleries. Everybody getting into the business wanted to build this distillery. They wanted to distill their own product. They wanted to have tourism and a gift shop and entertainment. They want to do all this other stuff. And at that point in time, I'm telling people that there's multiple businesses within that creation, and you don't necessarily need to have the distillery to build the brand. I said, build the brand, make the brand successful, and then the success of the brand will justify the need for the distillery or, whatever your operational facility would be. And so when I met Joe originally in 2014, he'd already figured all that stuff out. So then the question for us was, if we already know that we don't want to do this, what's the path forward? What are we going to do? And that's when we started talking about really owning the blending space. Because at that point in time, blending was a 4-letter word. People didn't want to talk about blending. They wanted to know where your DSP is, where your distillery is, what's the mash bill, all this other stuff. But, we decided that we wanted to focus on what we were putting in the bottle. We wanted to make the most flavorful, complex product we can and offer that to the consumers. And that was incredibly difficult 10 years ago. But what's happened over the last 10 years is that the consumers have started saying, you know what, I'm really curious about the flavors in this product, or I'm curious where flavors come from, or I wonder how they make this. Consumers are starting to ask all of these questions and become very curious about producers and how they create their products. So, we were blending, and then we were finishing, and we're doing all this. And 2014 to 2016, we're going through different types of finishing. And what's happened over the years is we've continued to really hone our blending skills, in that we're adding more and more blending more and more stuff together with more and more finishes into one product. And that's why you're seeing like the Seagrass and the Dovetail and the Vantage all have 3 separate finishes, 3 separate finishing casks.
Right.
And then with within each of those casks, there were 5-10 different grain bills from who knows where in the United States. And each of those creates a whole other layer of complexity. And so we continue to go down this path of seeking out the flavors that are going to make unique and interesting products, so that we have this infinite toolbox of flavors that we can use to build to build from, to create products like the Seagrass, the Vantage, or even the Cask Finish series that we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
Sounds good to me. That's a very professional way to say it, as opposed to me, who would be like calling somebody out. No, but I appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, I think I still have the first bottle of Dovetail that I think was released, and that was one of the first really like times that I took a drink of something and I was like, this is different. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's taking a break from my single barrels and doing all that stuff. And so I always think about like you guys being one of the first things that I drank that was actually finished.
Well, let's talk about a couple of the special cask finish releases that you all have out right now too. We'll talk about Tale of Two Islands first, because I think this is the one that truly, like, when I was reading through the press release and seeing what was going to be available, was something that really jumped out at me as, yes, being unique and different, but also that sense of familiarity, because these were casks that had been used before, but clearly there was still quite a bit of life left in them too. Was that something that you took as inspiration, or were you just kind of ready to do something else in the same space?
Well, it's funny, and we should probably set the stage here for some of the listeners who may not know exactly the lineage of this. But it was a one big conversation when we started talking about this. And so the original product was a 7-year-old Jamaican high ester pot still rum that we released as our barrel rum batch 1. And so we had a little bit of that rum left over, and we wanted to create some sort of finish with rum. And at the time, we didn't have any idea what it was going to be. We had 25 or 30 different samples laid out on the bench top, and Joe and I were going through tasting all these things like, okay, this is terrible. This will never work. Let's move on. It's like this one's not, this isn't it. Let's keep going. And we got to the final sample, and it was an Isla Scotch cask. And it's like, wow, this could be something here. And so where we ended up going is taking the leftover rum that we had from our batch 1, which at that point in time was 8 years old, and putting 8-year-old Jamaican pot still high ester rum in Isla Scotch casks. And when you say that, it's like, there's no way that can work. But, we talked about this in 2020, and it was one of the most fascinating products that we had put together to that date. And it worked so well together with the sweetness from the rum and just the hint of peat in the Scotch. It worked so well together. It was just amazing. And just after we dumped the barrels to create that product, we then filled those barrels back up with bourbon. And so at the time, we didn't know quite what we were going to do with it, but we knew we were going to do something with it because it tasted too good to let it go. So fast forward a few years, and we have this Tale of Two Islands finished bourbon, or bourbon finished in the Tale of Two Islands casks. So we have the original, they were Maker's Mark bourbon barrels that had Scotch in them originally, that then came back to the States, and we put rum in them, dumped the rum, and then put bourbon back into them, and then used all of that bourbon to blend together to create this Tale of Two Islands finish. So there's quite a lineage with the casks that have been used in this series. And the great thing about this particular product is that you can still actually taste the rum characteristics with just a hint of the peat in there from the Scotch barrels.
Now, I'm going to call you out a little bit.
Okay.
Me?
Eric. I'm going to call Eric out. Not you, Tripp. Because you're not the biggest peated Scotch guy.
I'm not a peated Scotch guy at all. You can call me out on that.
But I think that you and I can agree, though, that there is a good middle ground within this product that kind of pleases a lot of different whiskey drinkers, a lot of different spirits drinkers.
Yeah. I think so
as well. And I think that's what's the most exciting for me to celebrate. Not that the product inside shouldn't be celebrated, because it absolutely should. I think it's a terrific bottling. I think that, there is something, this is not the phrase that I think is particularly appropriate for this, but reaching across the aisles, as it were, between whiskey drinkers. I think that there is just this opportunity here to, and rum drinkers as well, that the Tale of Two Islands bourbon allows for people. And I think you all did that exceptionally well.
Thank you.
But of course. But I also think too that it bears speaking about like the wider impact that this may have, or that it might contribute to the ongoing Infinity product, the Infinite Barrel project as well. I want to talk about that a little bit as well, because I don't think that gets as much publicity kind of that some of your other projects do within Barrel.
So the Infinite Barrel project was something that we started releasing in 2018, 17, 18. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, this is just a flavor exercise, a flavor quest, where we're taking product from all over the world, unique whiskeys from all over the world, and blending them together to create a product. And we would bottle a portion of that product, and it's almost like a small batch or an individual release that is then offered to the public, and then the remainder of that becomes a component, and we add more whiskeys to it. And we've done that over and over and over. We've done it, some 15, 16 times now, I think. And what we're doing at each point is just replacing the whiskey we pull out with unique and complex whiskeys that we find all over the world to build back up the volume. And in doing that, we're continuously concentrating all the flavors in that blend. And it's a super fun project for us to do. And it's funny too, because if you talk to anybody, I don't know if you guys have an Infinity bottle or not, but if you talk to anybody who has an Infinity bottle, it's usually the decanter you got at some wedding, and it sits on the counter, and you don't use it for anything, and that's going to be my Infinity bottle.
2 ounces left over, throwing it in there,
And so
whatever.
You take the last little bit and you throw it in there, and by the time you fill it up, you taste it. It's like, my God, this tastes terrible. and so
Tripp, I need some help.
And that's usually the story we get. And while that's not exactly the way we create our Infinite Barrel project, that's sort of the basis of
Sure.
The big picture, I guess.
Right. So it one of the things that we keep, I think, hearkening back to is just that everything that is done within Barrel is incredibly intentional, right? And we talked about, in our previous interview, your blue sky sessions, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody sits around and you're just kind of bringing out as many ideas as you possibly can and distilling them down into particular products. And I'm curious too, along the way with the Infinite Barrel project and, bringing back up Tale of Two Islands as well, what has that process looked like? How has that changed over the past couple of years as well?
Well, I think the blue sky meetings are great. We have those periodically, and it's just an idea session.
Sure.
It's, everybody's throwing stuff out. Some of it's outlandish, some of it's crazy. Sometimes you can take outlandish and crazy and put them together and come up with something that's pretty fun.
Sure.
So we continue to have those meetings and go through that process. And, those ideas that come out of that meeting are getting more and more realistic, let's say, because we've done so much to this point that the ideas that might have sounded a little bit crazy 10 years ago sound a heck of a lot less crazy today.
Yeah.
And so what it's allowing us to do is continue to further build the complexity through, finding unique flavors and blending them into a product.
Has there ever been anything that did come about? You don't have to name a product if it's one that we're drinking or anything, but is there anything ever happened by mistake and you're like, oh my God, like this is it right here? Or has that been something you took home and you're like, I'm keeping this for myself?
There have been. Okay, I will tell you this.
He's treading lightly here.
There was a time when we had some rum and we had some whiskey that were close in proximity together, that were supposed to stay close in proximity and not end up in the same vessel. And for some reason, they ended up partially in the same vessel. So we had this whiskey rum cocktail that, we didn't know what we were going to do with. And it's sort of a fun little product. It's got good flavor to it. We use it, sporadically in some things, but it's one of those things. We still have it. Not real sure what we're going to do with it, but I've talked to people about these types of things, and they really become components. And in and of itself, it may not be a product, but it will be the solution to a problem that we don't have yet.
Yeah.
And so it will fill holes in some future project that we have yet to undertake.
I would say that has to be like, as a blender, you have to you probably almost feel like you don't want to get rid of anything, right? Because it's like, maybe there's, I'm not saying you're a hoarder, but like, there's probably that part of you that's like, I may use that again, maybe
100%.
Yeah. And it's like, I need that one thing. And you're all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need that mistake blend or something like that. So that's cool. So
you are absolutely right. And I am unashamed at that point, because we get asked all the time, have you ever had something that didn't work, or, the mistake question. And so my response to that is that nothing is ever wrong or didn't work. It's just not right yet.
Sure.
And so what I mean is that when you stay the course, it's the conversation that we have with ourselves about creating this blend, and that the blend that we have in front of us might not be right. It's because it's missing something. So our job as the blender is to figure out what it's missing. Go find that flavor or those flavors and put them in the blend at the right concentration so that everything in there works together. So it's never wrong, and it's never, it's never a bad blend. It's just, we're not to the finish line yet. We're not done with it.
Yeah.
And so these little mistakes, or these little things that we work on that may not work as an individual product, they always end up filling a hole or solving a problem in the future.
Tripp, I have to ask too, because I think that's a nice segue into talking about the release this year of Barrell Rye Batch 4. It's been 3 years, right, since a Barrell Rye product had been released, and it kind of sounds like there were some it's not right yet conversations that happened around the crafting of that brand.
I think when we approach putting blends together that we're going to release to the public, whatever we blend and put in the bottle has to deserve to be there. And so we've had a lot of fun blending the ryes, batch 1 through 3, and those were great products. Those were unique products. They were well-rounded products. You could find the traditional spice in those products, but there were lots of other flavor characteristics in there that made that rye a little more approachable from somebody who might not drink just rye, but the rye connoisseur would appreciate the flavor characteristics as well. So there was a little bit of time lag figuring out what we were going to do for rye batch 4, because we wanted to stay true to that model. I didn't want to just take a standard 95% rye and pick a proof and put it in the bottle. That's not what we do. We wanted to find some unique rye and put a blend together that really put some focus on traditional rye characteristics, but put a little bit of fruit in there, rounded out some traditional bourbon notes, and gave you more of an experience in the rye category than just your traditional spice bomb.
I mean, I will say one of my favorite ryes was the rye batch 2.
Oh yeah.
But I have rye batch 1, and I don't even have it opened yet, because I don't know if I bought them around the same time or if I just didn't. So that is definitely one I'm going to get into, because I don't know, that rye batch 2 to me, like, it still sticks out in my head. Like, I wish that I still had some of it, but I don't know. I've loved the barrel rye products that you've had before, so I'm definitely looking forward to batch 4.
And I am hoping too, of course, that we see more of them in the future. And I know, of course, that you're right, it takes time and everything, but you and I are such big fans of
I mean, yeah,
that rye.
And I don't know, it's just like you were saying, it is more of like a little bit of extra fruit in there as opposed to just the rye. Because I love rye. I can drink rye in the summer. I can, some people don't want to drink rye till it gets fall or winter. But I don't know. I love just taking a break from just your normal bourbon and getting a rye. And I feel like it is a rye that, at least those batches that I've had, that you can drink year round. Like, it just, like you said, it has just enough of that extra component to be, for a bourbon drinker that only exclusively drinks bourbon to like it. And then maybe the person who really loves spicy rye, they're still going to get what they want out of it too. So I'm looking forward to batch 4.
That reminds me of during our chat a few years ago, Tripp, that you said you like fruit in all of your whiskeys, and you prefer it. It's something, I think what you said was, a lot of people say, don't put any fruit in my beer. But coming from two guys who enjoy a good fruit sour ale,
good beer, yeah.
I mean, we appreciate that extra layer of complexity as well. I want to circle back to, as well, talking about the Amberana finish. This is the other cask finish series, that's out right now. As Eric and I kind of said before, it is a uniquely, very well balanced Amberana finished product. But I feel like people are kind of turned off by Amberana right now with how prevalent it is.
Well, I think that was the one that I said, this is the most un-Amberana.
Yeah.
I was like, and I actually, that was a good thing to me. Like, I was like you said, like, I've had some that Perry poured it for me, and it smelled like cologne or perfume or something, like straight out the thing. And that one was nice because it just had a touch of, a little bit of that gingerbread or something that I was getting, as opposed to just hitting me in the face. So,
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what did you learn from having to take something? And I know we talked a little bit about this, but I want to hone in specifically on, the larger picture of. I want to hone in on a larger picture, is what I just said. Yeah, that's great. What I'm asking is, in a grander sense, this experience with having to blend with something that is as aggressive in nature as Amberana, what lessons are you taking into further blending, moving on from that into some of these other projects that you have on the horizon?
Well, so I think it's important to know too that with our Amberana product, we used actual sustainably harvested barrels. There are lots of alternatives on the market that are, staves and spirals and different types of cubes and whatever you can use to drop in whiskey. And if that's the way you want to go, that's fine. But we actually sought out sustainably harvested Amburana barrels. We have a map of where in the rainforest the wood was harvested, and we have the basically the chain of custody from the forest to the stave mill to the cooperage and then to us. So we know the life of the barrels, that we know the life of the wood that was used to create the barrels that we used to create the product. And that was really important to us when we were, approaching this product. And then as we started putting whiskey into the barrels and really seeing how quickly and how concentrated the flavor is across the different mash bills, it was sort of a wow moment for us, because traditionally you don't get that kind of contribution in that sort of time frame. So, part of me is thinking that we should pull some of this stuff out and start using it now. But then, the inquisitive brain starts saying, well, where does this thing go? If we let this thing ride, where does it go in a couple of years or longer? And then what do we do with that product? So it's a different approach with something that contributes flavor like Amburana, because I think there are different time points within the finishing process or the maturation process where you can pull from those barrels to capture specific types of flavors or concentration of flavors that you want to use in a blend. And we've continued to sample these barrels as they've sort of moved along the time frame, and we're putting plans together to play around with some other ways to use that flavor in different blends. And not to get too far off Amburana, but Mizunara is very similar in the same way.
Right.
I was going to say, do you ever get any, say a project's coming up or you're going to blend a new product, do you ever get, maybe in your head or in these meetings that you guys have, somebody's like, let's make a blend that tastes like this. Like, if I was in there, I would be like, I've got this little Debbie snack cake, like a chocolate fudge round. I want you to blend me a whiskey that's a big chocolate bomb or something. Do you ever get inspiration from food or maybe a snack or candy, and you're like, I want to try to blend something with this finish or Amburana or whatever that may taste like, a candy or a snack or food or something like that?
I don't get a ton of inspiration from food, but again, we have a blending team, and we have people in the company who are foodies who really like well crafted and prepared food, and there's inspiration that comes through those experiences that help us to develop these products. And it's really the collaboration across people with different palates within the company that allow us to get to the answers a lot of times. But as far as the little Debbie bourbon, man, I think you're on your own with that one.
Yeah, probably. That's what people tell me. That's what I get a lot. But you know what? I'm just going to keep figuring it out.
I can't help you with that. I mean, maybe we could try to put a little Debbie in the bourbon and just see what happens.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. So, I mean, anytime you want to invite me over, I will.
Jeez Louise.
What? I'll go to these Blue Sky sessions. We'll put some snacks and some bourbon.
Just
bring all your snacks with you.
Yeah. I'm down.
I gotta say, Tripp, you're not the first person either who has told Eric he is on his own with the the snack cake.
Yeah,
Rob Dietrich was very unhappy with you for asking that question.
Yeah. You think I'd learn, but I gotta get it out there
eventually. Yeah,
it's all good, man. If you can't laugh about it,
that's what I say.
You gotta have
keep
fun.
it all fun. Yeah,
bourbon's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. Tripp, this has been a lot of fun getting to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for spending some time talking about Barrell. I cannot wait to see what's coming up in the future. You guys have batch 36, 37 on the horizon with Barrell coming into the new year. I guess we have the New Year batch coming up soon too, as well. But again, thank you. It was great catching up with you, man. Everybody come visit Tripp in Louisville. Yeah. Go see the new space and everything as well. But cheers, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast, and we should definitely do it again soon.
All right, y'all. We have talked about it. Now it's time to review about it. We are going to dissect Barrell Foundation 5-year-old 100 proof bourbon. A blend of straight bourbon whiskeys contains 8-year-old Kentucky, 5, 6, and 9-year-old Indiana, 8-year-old Tennessee, and 5 and 6-year-old Maryland. The derived mash bill is 73% corn, 23% rye, and 4% malted barley.
Well, that Maryland got me because you're used to hearing those 3 states.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like, Maryland?
I would have expected even like
New York?
New York, exactly, yeah.
We'll see.
Colorado, I don't know.
Now, we've sipped on this a little bit, but I was too busy trying to figure out how to ask Tripp to blend me a little Debbie blend to actually like think about what I was drinking. So,
to which he said emphatically,
"You're on your own.
You're an idiot."
I'm waiting on my invitation to those brainstorm meetings.
Little Debbie blend. This is one of the most bourbon-y bourbons.
Yeah.
I have ever had.
And I hate when I do this, but I don't think anybody cares, and I think the listener understands. When I smell this, I smell like I kind of compare it to like some kind of like bottle, like a early times bottled in bond or something like,
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to bring up another brand when we're reviewing Barrell. I'm just saying this reminds me of a good bottled in bond 100 proof bourbon that, like we said in the interview, that can just be up in the shelf, ready to pour neat on the rocks, cocktail, whatever you want to do. It reminds me of kind of those, like an early times bottled in bond.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think that it really, to me, harkens back to the Elijah Craigs that made me fall in love with bourbon. The pirate bottles when they had removed the age statement, even some of those like later days when they had moved the age statement to the back of the bottle instead of it being the big red 12. Yeah. Great times. I miss age-stated Elijah Craig that wasn't barrel proof. As much as I love age-stated Elijah Craig barrel proof, I miss the small batch from
there's just something
days
on
before.
Like, it's like you get some kind of like, it's almost like a banana bread right on the end of the nose. But when you taste it, that is kind of up front. So it does a good job of going from nose to palate. Like,
yeah.
A lot of times we get frustrated, or at least I do, and I've said it before, the nose didn't line up with the palate, and I got, upset or whatever. But this kind of goes bourbon-y, banana bread on the palate, back to kind of just that bottled in bond type. I know it's not a bottled in bond, but type bourbon.
Yeah. There is a huge mid-palate boost where it just like, yeah, it does start off kind of continuing on from the nose, but it's pretty soft, right? It's not really in your face until it gets to the mid palate, and then it just explodes with like cinnamon spice, a lot of vanilla, some slightly kind of like dark chocolate, like bitter dark chocolate notes as well. Finish is nice and like this is a word I've never used to describe a finish before.
Smooth?
Tight.
Oh, tight.
It's very like concentrated. Right?
I can see that. I see what you're saying.
Like, it doesn't do that,
like evaporate
spread.
the hug. It's just like you concentrate.
It's the sacred timeline of finishes.
We got to pull it together and we got to keep it. And, no, it's a great finish. I get a lot of, you say bitter, kind of that dark chocolate bitter. I get a lot of the kind of coffee cocoa chocolate.
Yes.
But yeah, it to me, it doesn't hit me as much in the mid palate like you said, but it does on the finish. So,
okay.
And I feel like we have that. We kind of that kind of comes up a lot. Like you get it kind of in the mid, and then I get kind of the same thing, but I get it on the finish. But it is a tight. I understand what you're saying exactly right now. The way I'm feeling, it is a tight finish, kind of, secluded right there to the middle.
Concentrated, I think, is the
probably
better term for it, but it's definitely.
I like Sacred Timeline finish, honestly.
So you've watched season 2?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll talk about it in tips and bits. As far as an entry level product for a brand, I think this is extremely accessible. I think that it hits on so many different nerves for bourbon drinkers that it will be pretty satisfying across the board. My only gripe, $55 can still be a lot of money for people.
Yeah.
So if it were closer to 40, 45,
yeah,
I mean, it would be, passing with flying
barrels.
Sure.
Okay. Donkey Kong?
What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
With
flying colors?
Flying colors.
Flying colors. Okay.
I kept going flag, banner.
Barrels.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, we got to, you look at the overall thing and everything's more expensive. So, yeah. But still, 55 or $50 and above, to me, is still I got to think about this for a second.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit more accessible than those $100 bottles of Barrel. So that is a good thing, and I appreciate them thinking of that instead of making it the same price as everything else.
And it's not that it's poorly priced. It's just, we're talking about affordable. Could be less. That being said, though, it does have a feeling of being well manicured.
Yeah.
It is very well crafted. Not a lot of like rough edges to it either.
It's very like
it's concentrated.
Concentrated. Yeah. It's got smooth edges. I'm not saying it's a smooth, like when I think about this in my head, like there are no like, it's just very well rounded. Mm-hmm. I guess you would say.
I got to be honest. I would love to try this in an old fashioned.
Sure, we should make one.
I think that sounds great. Nose, palate, finish, and price is our review system here on the podcast. Each category is out of 5. Final score is out of 20. 20. That's if Jim Carrey did our loser. What would you give the nose on this, Eric?
3.5. I think it is well above an average nose.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy that sticks out. I get a little bit on the end, like I said. Reminds me of banana, kind of early times type stuff. But it definitely smells like something that you said, like it's been crafted and made sure there's no rough edges on it. It just smells good.
Yeah. I'm missing a little bit of kind of like a more oakier approach.
They're
in a little bit of leather.
I will say this is not somebody who loves like dark, smoky, cigar, leathery. You ain't going to get this in this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's just my own personal like.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
I wish it had a little bit of that. But I am in agreement with you. I think 3.5 is very solid. I'm going to go with a 3 on the palate.
I'm going to just cruise on along with a 3.5 because it went from nose to palate.
Going down 75, you put cruise control on, you're just hanging
3.5
out until you hit Buc-ee's.
Yep. Yeah, 3.5 again.
Finish, I think, is really, really different and unique, and just I'm enjoying it. That is the part of it that I think is making me want to go back the most.
Yeah.
To drink this. What's your score though?
3.5.
4. I think it's really good.
I think it's great. And I'm saying my price is a 3.5 too. I'm just going to say No, like I feel like this is a very consistent, like a little bit above average everything.
Yeah.
It just from nose, palate to finish, it could be a little bit cheaper, but I'm looking at it as things that taste similar to this. I'm okay. I'm not mad at 55.
Yeah.
It could be better. I could give it a 4 if it was a little cheaper. I could give it a 5 if it's a little cheaper, but it could be worse. So I'm 3.5 all the way through.
Yeah, I think we wound up at the same final score of a 14 because I also gave the price a 3.5. I think that this is the perfect jumping on point for barrel products. If you are trying to understand what they do as a brand, this is completely indicative of some of their higher end batched releases. But at the same time, this does not fall short of being an exceptional bourbon in and of itself.
No, this should, if you've been on the fence about buying like batch 35, whatever we're at.
Yeah, 35.
And you like this, that should be a good indication that you're probably going to like one of the more expensive batches.
I wish I'd been able to bring 35 so we could try it alongside, but it's not where I am living at the moment. So that's unfortunate.
But yeah, this is good. I'd say if you want something a little, put on your shelf, this is definitely something that I would be fine with pouring it in anything, sharing it, drinking it anyway, all that stuff.
100%. I have to make an apology.
Okay.
So a couple weeks ago, we got all excited about being able to call Bill Robarge on Barrel Rings.
Yeah.
And we completely neglected to listen to another barrel ring.
Oh, no.
That was left for us.
Did they call you out? They did, didn't they? Oh, no. Oh, no.
So we've got a little bit of... we got a little bit of backtracking to do, as you can tell.
If you're listening for the first time, this is the segment where you can send a voicemail or a text to 859-428-8253. 859-428-8253. Call the number, text it, leave the message. We'll play it on here. I'm going to apologize too, because I didn't know. I didn't know this happened. I didn't know.
All right. So we've got a few barrel rings to get through. Here's the first one.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jared. Just here in my basement watching the Bears get absolutely owned by the Chargers.
Sorry.
We're a terrible football team. It's disappointing on multiple levels. But I want to get Derek's input on some anime stuff. My oldest son is 11. Big fan of Dragon Ball, which, who isn't a fan of Dragon Ball? It's Dragon Ball. Everyone is a fan. Also, My Hero Academia, Naruto. Really just want to get his input on kind of where he should be going next. Like what other series should he be looking into? We tried to watch some Full Metal Alchemist over the weekend. I'm a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist, but the streaming services we currently pay for didn't have the original series, just the Brotherhood, and there's too much missing, and it became a mess. We quit, just watched Fast and Furious 2 instead.
Nice.
Really,
that's even better.
Not the best play when you're watching with a middle schooler, because there's some things in there that I probably shouldn't watch with a middle schooler. But here we are. So, just want to get Derek's input on that. And, have a good week. My birthday's coming up on the 4th. Hopefully this makes it into the episode before then, because there's a really high chance that there's going to be a completely awful voicemail left on the 4th from me, because my plan for my birthday is to just smoke some meat and drink some whiskey, and that is going to be my entire Saturday until 7:30 when Michigan feeds my Boilermakers their own asses. That's how my birthday is going to end. So, all right. Have a good week. Yeah. I'm sorry this has to go out in the podcast. See ya.
Well, don't be sorry, Jared, because I'm sorry that not only did we miss that voicemail originally, but we also missed your birthday. So I think that...
Happy birthday to you.
I think Jared might just be hate listening to the podcast at this point with all the times that I've slighted him.
Oh, Jared.
I'm... Okay.
Hey, what's up, boys? It's Jared again. I gotta say, I got some beef this time.
Oh, no.
So you guys slighted me a couple times now this month.
Didn't do anything.
Unless you guys a barrel ring? I think I did. Back on like the 29th. It was during that Bears game, Sunday night. It's the Chargers. So,
sorry.
I mean, I think I left, like, I remember leaving one.
I'm sorry.
It's possible you guys had to cut it. It was a Bear game, so I had been drinking a touch. I might have fallen asleep on the basement floor for an hour or so after the game ended. But, yeah, I didn't hear it. That was kind of disappointing. And then, I don't know, like a month ago, I sent you guys an email. I had a couple samples I wanted to mail in for Simply Irresistible. I mentioned I think I have. I think I can ship them to Derek, but I kind of wanted to confirm. But I never heard back. So this feels like the biggest slight since Lettergate. But yeah. Anyways, I did have a good birthday last week. Thanks for asking. And I hope you guys are having a good start to November.
Got it.
And I will talk to you later.
You are officially the number one fan of TIMBP for the month of November. I'm going to self-proclaim you that.
Do we have to start monthly listener?
No, I don't know.
Listener of the month now?
We're starting right now for him.
Okay.
Sorry we missed your birthday. Happy birthday. Sorry, the Bears. It's just they're the Bears. We all know. You keep up with me. I'm a Bills fan. The Bills are going to Bills. The Bears are going to Bears. That's just how it is.
Also, right now, yes, Eric, it's the best place to send samples. But I'll have the P.O. Box information, though, sooner than later.
Yes. Hopefully you don't hate us. You're listening right now. But go back to the anime thing for a second. He's got another one?
Yeah, he's got another one.
Oh. What? How many did he get?
This is the last one.
Or is he mad again?
No, he toned it down. As far as I know, I haven't listened through or anything.
I feel so bad.
I don't listen to these until I listen to them.
His kid gave up anime now because I gave him an answer. All right, let's hear it.
Hey, what's up, Bubba Boys? It's your buddy Jared here. Be a little less hostile on this call. Just chilling in the basement, watching football, drinking that beer I brewed up my birthday. Me and Perry have been chatting about that on Facebook. But I want to call in my thoughts on kind of what you and Brian Bike were talking about. What it means to be an enthusiast.
Just give it a minute.
To me, a bourbon enthusiast is someone with a genuine interest in, enjoying bourbon, obviously, but also kind of trying different spirits, like not just saying I'm this brand and that's only that brand, but trying different bourbon, trying craft, different varieties. Then there's also a level of, I don't want to say education, but I don't know, awareness of the news. Like what distillery is doing what's getting released, what are some of the trends, some of the history, I guess a knowledge base, but someone's not opening their bottles, or just a collector, someone's just chasing what's hot, like if they're just chasing Blantons or weather or whatever because everyone else is, like you're not an enthusiast. So that's my take. It's probably similar to what you guys talked about. It's probably you need to have an awareness of your palate, what you're going to like and don't like. Do you like weeders? Do you like old? Do you like sweet? But yeah, that's it. All right. Every week, guys, hope you guys are set up nicely for Thanksgiving. Talk to you guys later.
He said love you. We're still okay. He said love you.
Jared, love you too. Also, I am so sorry. I feel so bad.
It's okay. I think he understands.
I wasn't trying to.
When you talked on Facebook, did this come up?
No, because we were just kind of commenting back and forth to each other. But he brewed his own Irish red ale.
Nice.
With a rye spice, I think is what it said. He said, come on up for Thanksgiving. Come see me. Come drink some beer. Oh.
You get a... Okay. Wait. You're like, get in the car.
Bash you over the head with a bottle, knock you out, put you in my trunk.
Where are we? Jared?
Currently, we're in northern Ohio on our way to Pennsylvania. I genuinely am sorry, Jared. I did not mean to overlook your barrel ring that week that we called Bill.
It just, stuff like that just happens.
It just happens.
I will say, Jared, you got more apology than we gave Rarebird.
That's not true.
I'm just playing.
No,
it's
but
a
I'm
joke.
saying, but I'm telling you,
it's a joke.
I know, but I'm telling you,
you can cut it.
That I apologized to him.
I know you did. It was a joke.
But I sent him an email and said I'm sorry for the way that
it's a joke.
Okay. All right.
Throwing it out there. Go back to the anime.
Oh yeah, talk about the anime thing.
I got to see what the list was. Again.
Oh, okay. Wait, that's not it.
So it looks like Dragon Ball, Academia, Naruto. So you're on a good shonen kick right now. If I don't know if the Naruto is just Naruto or Naruto Shippuden, so I would continue on with that if you haven't watched that. Boruto, you can go on. That's Naruto's kid. If you want to stay on that kind of path, Hunter x Hunter is excellent. It's kind of like starts out, it's got a lot of cool, fun kid stuff, and then all of a sudden it turns into some crazy stuff. It goes back and forth. If you watch all those, you'll be fine with that. I don't know. Did they say?
Ooh, you know it's a good one? It's not running anymore, but Shaman King.
Shaman King is a good one.
Shaman King was a great manga and anime.
Did he say how old his son was? 11?
Mm-hmm.
11. If you wanted to go a little bit Attack on Titan, it is pretty gory at times. That's kind of up to you guys. I know some 11-year-olds now have probably seen a lot worse than we've seen. You see parents getting eaten and all this stuff. I would recommend going to a mech. I would say try to check out some Gundam.
Yeah.
If you wanted to start out how I started with Gundam, you could watch Gundam Wing. You could watch G Gundam, or you could watch Iron-Blooded Orphans on Netflix. It's a Gundam series. There is if you want to go a magical route of shonen, there is a show called Black Clover, if he likes that kind of thing. And then I know you like football. There's not really many football animes because they don't really play too much. There is one, and it's not very good. But there are a couple of sports animes that I think kids would like. There is a Kuroko's Basketball, which is a basketball anime. It kind of blends in the mix of shonen stuff. They have their special move, and it kind of goes into the crazy colors and stuff. Ace of Diamond is a good one. Perry just pulled that one up. That's kind of the same way. You really get that emotion and the team and the seniors get, they're leaving and the younger guys got to step up. It's so cool. I would say, let me see. I know this is taking forever.
Spy X Family.
Spy X Family was really good.
I actually haven't watched any of it. It's just really gotten a lot of flack for being popular amongst creepy dudes.
Yeah, I understand. That's kind of anime too. You could watch 91 Days with him, and that kind of mixes adult stories from Prohibition. But it's also a really good anime. Death Note, maybe
That's a little bit later.
Depending on how he is, if he likes horror stuff or you're good with him watching stuff like that. That's probably a good start. And this could definitely be a continuing conversation if you ever want to just message me or let me know, because I got a whole list of stuff I watch. So, and if you really want to tackle something, you can start watching One Piece. That's going to take thousands of episodes.
Look at this. I know that this is a typo, but on this CBR.com
Bleach list. 2005 to 2002 went backwards.
Yeah. Did you say Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer's
good. It kind of borders that line of like if you're okay with gore and stuff because it gets pretty adult at times. JoJo's is kind of adult at times.
Yeah.
There's Hunter x Hunter. You already talked about Yu Yu Hakusho is an old school shonen. That's really good.
That was one of the ones that I kind of grew up on. Too.
Netflix just released a trailer for the live action version of that.
I haven't watched it.
I don't watch trailers, but
Yeah,
it's
I know
out
you
there. That's kind of it.
Yeah. We got one more barrel ring.
Hey, what's going on, boys? This is Bill. Thought I'd call in again, as I usually do. Just got done listening to the episode. Brian is a really cool cat. I feel like, back in the day, there was misconnections. I think he's a misconnection for me. He's like my spirit animal. Coffee, photography, not a good self-promoter. I mean, like, that's it. That's me. So I might have to slide into those DMs. Just kidding. That's not going to happen. Anyway. So, I thought the episode was great. I do have thoughts on this whole bourbon enthusiast thing, as you would probably expect I would have. I don't think it's fair necessarily to lump it like one big category like that. So I'm going to break it down in the categories I think work, and I'll try to make this quick. Number one, you have your bourbon drinker. That's a person who knows what they like, doesn't usually deviate, will get the same bottle over and over again. You have your bourbon fan. That's where I kind of fall into. I like bourbon. I like trying new bourbon. I have some knowledge of bourbon and the different brands out there, but by no means am I an expert in that regard. You have your bourbon enthusiasts. They love bourbon. They want to try everything. They know a lot about all the different brands, the history. They know who all the players are. They know everything, right? That's your bourbon enthusiast, and I think the biggest difference between a fan and enthusiast is the level of knowledge that they have. And then you have your bourbon douchebaggery. Those are those ass clowns that only want the most allocated stuff, don't shop anywhere, but expect everything else. You can also call that your bourbon, what do you want to call it? Your bourbon elitist? No, that's not right. Your bourbon, like, I don't know, whatever.
We know.
But that's how I feel about it. Anyways.
Oops.
See y'all next week.
Sorry.
Peace out.
Bourbon entitlement is what he meant. He sent in a text as well, clarifying.
I agree.
But, yeah. I also had to mention, too, that Mr. Tony Beckett Donut said on the Uncut episode on Patreon, I think there's one more level you're leaving out, the whiskey enthusiasts. Excuse me. There's a lot of us that love the entire whiskey category. That's no surprise, of course, but I think that it's a level beyond enthusiast. What that definition is, I don't know. Aficionado, maybe. Those of us that learn everything we can about the spirit as a whole. Here, okay, first of all, we were just talking about bourbon enthusiasts.
But all bourbon is whiskey.
Not all whiskey is
so it's all the same.
But also, I wasn't trying to exclude any like particular groups when I gave my broad definition. What I was just saying is that it's anywhere from that first category all the way up to the last one. I wasn't saying there are only two. I was saying that's the spectrum.
What's the name of the show?
Exists on this.
What's the name of the show?
This is my bourbon podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But anyway.
I get what you're saying, Tom.
Yeah. But I was just saying that, that conversation was specifically about bourbon enthusiasts. But I understand that. Like the talking about it as like being a whiskey enthusiast, I think is an entirely different spectrum of conversation to have. But I don't disagree with that definition either. In some regards, like I think I lean more towards whiskey enthusiast, even though bourbon is like my home, because I am curious how other whiskeys are made too. The history, the etymology of it all. Like it is something that I find joy in learning about. But within the context of that episode, it was
bourbon.
Yeah. Anyway, high proof hot takes. You got anything that's been boiling under the surface, making your skin peel and itch, and you're getting a rash where you didn't have one before because you just got so much animosity built up for anything?
Well, I almost went to a rash, but I didn't get that mad. But I was at the airport this past week.
Well, that's going to give anybody a rash.
Hey, God almighty. If you people just chill when it's time to line up board for your gate and you're like in zone 1, zone 2. Leave the people at the desk alone until they call you. Don't keep going up to the desk and being like, when are we going aboard? Elderly, senior citizen people, like, who don't understand how to fly, I will say that, who don't understand how to fly, they don't stop. They will go up to the same person and ask questions about everything. What zone is this? Where's my ticket? All this. Chill out. I sat there and got so aggravated because these
Can you call Steve and let him know that I'm at the airport?
we got
Steve?
Got delayed like 30 minutes, and I swear to God, you thought the world was crashing down. People were freaking out. They didn't know where they were going, and they just didn't know. Sit at the gate and wait till you're called, okay? You don't have to get ready to line up. You're all going to get on the plane, all right? Chill out at the gate. If you paid extra to get the board soon, then go ahead and get in the front line. Otherwise, sit back and chill. Just chill at the gate, okay? That's what I would say. That's my hyperbolic take. People don't chill at the gate.
I said mine earlier. I'm tired of The Rock.
Well, there you go.
Tips and bits, though. It's a segment where we recommend things that we have been watching, listening to, reading, whatever.
Anything.
Yeah. You want to talk about Loki first?
I mean, that's about all I probably got to say. Okay. I got a bunch of other stuff, but I know this is a...
Well, I also...
We got a long-winded episode here.
Yeah, I also saw the Marvels.
Well, I haven't, so...
Yeah, well, I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. There was a whole scene where I was laughing so hard. I'm not even kidding. Like, out of genuine, like, enjoyment. Not so like this was bad. It was...
When you say that, it immediately makes me be like... I'm okay to wait for this to come out on streaming.
I hate that you...
Because you said I had fun with it. I know you enough to I know when your first reaction to that is, it's good, it's fun, but it's not great. Just say it.
No, it's not the best, but I do think it is genuinely a good Marvel movie.
Is it one that I should take time out of my week and buy a ticket and go to a movie?
It's only an hour and a half.
Still, though, you got...
And also...
Just tell me, yes or no.
There's part of it that, like, I really want to talk about.
I'll get a fucking ticket. Only because you said that. But if we weren't going to make content or talk about it sooner, would you say theater or wait?
I probably would have said wait, but also I'm in the camp right now of streaming is becoming such a conglomerate mess that it's genuinely damaging the theater experience. Okay. And
I love theater. I mean, I'm not not trying to damage anything.
No. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying like that has been more of what hurt, because I mean, they were largely positive reviews for the Marvels.
But it had the lowest box office.
Opening of any Marvel movie ever. Excuse me. But that's less about like superhero fatigue and less about reviews, and it's more because of how quickly things are going to streaming.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm the problem.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
you made me feel. No, I'm just playing.
I'm saying that there is a larger discussion about, you know, how the entertainment industry is treating streaming releases in comparison to theater.
Like why are we still hooked up on box office numbers if, you know, they're looking at so many streaming?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay. No, so the fact that you said it was fun is good enough for me to watch it. I was just trying to figure out when to fit it in, and if, you know, it was a whole time thing.
It's better than Ant-Man. The Wasp. Quantumania.
That's positive.
Better than The Flash.
Super positive.
Not as good as Loki.
Okay. I get you.
I loved Loki season 2, man.
Loki season 2. I will talk about that. There's some anime that I'm going to wait and talk about later. Loki season 2, along with season 1, I will say. Loki, they just, it's got the what I call, and I probably should say the Loki effect because I think Andor came out after the first season of Loki. But it's this thing that I like. I just say the Andor effect. You could take this story and these actors, and you could flip a few little things and not even have Marvel or Star Wars in it. And it's a great story.
Yep.
And that just, to me, shows how good you can do something, and you don't have to push that universe or those superheroes, the main bigs, Darth Vader or Captain America. Yep. It's just a straight-up great sci-fi whatever story. Yeah. And these actors killed it through this whole series.
I never thought that I would watch a scene with Owen Wilson and I would cry.
I mean, he was emotional the whole time.
He's not an emotional actor. He's not dramatic. He is the comedic relief. And he was one of the highlights of this whole season for me.
I mean,
his performance in the last episode is one of the best performances in all of Marvel. All of Marvel. I think that whole episode is fantastic.
I enjoyed this from start to finish.
I did too.
I did not want it to end. I will tell you, I wanted to see more. I kind of had to sit and think about how I thought about the end. I don't know if we need to do spoilers or just wait or talk about spoilers afterwards. But it's got some of the biggest emotion in it. Tom Hiddleston is fantastic. All of the people in this are fantastic. And I just love that you could seriously take the little bit of Marvel out of this, and it's just a straight-up good story.
100%.
They don't depend on the Marvel part of it. And based on whatever they decide to do with Jonathan Majors, this could be, they made it to where you don't even need him anymore.
Well, the rumor going around right now is that they are probably going to be sticking with Kang as the big bad for the multiverse saga, but there's a better chance than not that Jonathan Majors is gonna get recast.
Yeah.
And so here's my prediction, if that's gonna happen. Behind the scenes, the Wonder Man project, the show at Marvel, is dead.
Yeah.
That was going to star.
We don't need that.
Well, I think if it's done the right way, I mean, we didn't need a She-Hulk show, but I think it was done well enough to where it was kind of justified.
We don't need Madam Web either. I know that's Sony, but
that's different.
I know.
That's going to be a train wreck, and I'm here for it every step of the way. She
knew
my mom in the Amazon when she was studying spiders right before she died.
That's so bad, dude.
Anyway, so Wonder Man is getting canceled.
Yeah.
That was going to star Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was in Watchmen, who is Black Manta in Aquaman.
Yeah.
If they are looking for
recast him,
somebody with the same star power that Jonathan Majors has, I think...
Holy cow, I don't know what's happening.
I think Yahya Abdul-Mateen
I can see that.
is the perfect replacement for him. You know, he's already signed on as a Marvel actor. So it's an easy pivot, I think. Man, I hate that Jonathan Majors is such a piece of crap.
Yeah, so he's a good actor.
Because he's so good. He's been one of my favorite actors over the past few years. And just, this is a great tip and bit, though. I've sent it to you, and I've laughed at it for about a month or so now. But as he was like going to trial, there was a video that was supposed to be like a candid video of these two high school girls getting into a fist fight. And then from off camera, Jonathan Majors runs in to frame. He's like, no. We can't don't fight. It's wrong to fight. And it looks so fake and so funny. Like just really trying to save face. And it reminded me of that sketch with Fred Armisen in the new season of I Think You Should Leave, where he's trying to prove to his kids that he's a tough dad. And he's got the like horribly produced video of him getting in a fight. I thought it would look real.
That's good.
Anyway, it's a very funny video for anybody who has context for this whole situation. But he is apparently a real bad dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a show.
That's an episode.
That's an episode.
Good old episode.
Man, we've been going for a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm tired.
You want to cuddle?
Nope.
Oh.
We got more content to make, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a bonus episode coming out. Maybe not this week, maybe next week. So be on the lookout for that. But we're going to record some more content after Eric tells you where you can go find out
Four more content.
Huh? Oh, yeah, 4 more content.
Four, not four. 4 more content? Anyway, more content, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. You can support the show, but to get that content, you can support us at the $5 level. You get the bonus episodes. You get this episode uncut. And anything else, news, releases, you're going to get it there first. Support the show. Get some extra stuff. Patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. If you want to send us an email, you can send an email to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. Try to get back to you. We're figuring out where to send stuff right now. Kind of been sending it to my place. Barry used to get it sent to his place, get in a P.O. box. Stay tuned, but keep sending the emails. If you want to get some merchandise, bourbonshop.threadless.com.
Get you a t-shirt.
Get you a t-shirt. Get you a skateboard. Whatever else is on there.
The 300th episode t-shirt is up there, by the way.
Did you all even know that?
I swear I said something about
it. Well, they know it now. But get some merch. Do it. You can go to all social media. You can go to the show's page, My Bourbon Pod. You can go to Perry's page, Peter1792. You can go to my page at Whiskey Mutant. We also have a Facebook group. You can join then. If I forgot to mention on the Patreon part, but we have a Discord. You join the Patreon, you get on the Discord. We talk a lot in there. People give each other shit. But we all love each other, at least some of us. But yeah, get on all social media, My Bourbon Pod, This My Bourbon Podcast. Search it, do it. Go to YouTube. You can watch this episode on there, video version, every Friday. All the other episodes that we've been recording are on there. Perry goes live on there every Thursday.
But not during Thanksgiving.
But not during the holidays, okay? Not during the holidays. Because you got to give us a break. You got to let us chill with the family. But you can do that over on YouTube. Also, while you're there or on anything else, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, do all the stuff. Help us out. Leave reviews, 5-star, 1-star. I'm sure they all help in some way. We'll read them out.
Yeah, we will. It's true.
It's true. We'll read them, and depending on what you say, depending on how we'll answer. So that's just the truth. I'm just being honest. You can say whatever you want, but say something nice, we'll probably be nice. Say something not nice,
we'll probably be not nice.
Happy
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Do a pour over on some stuffing and turkey. I interrupted Perry again.
That's fine.
But yeah.
We will see y'all next week. Tune in soon for the bonus episode that we're going to be doing as well. There might actually be another bonus episode coming out sooner than later. You don't have to worry about any of that. Or you can. I don't know. It's up to you.
Am I in it?
You weren't when I recorded it.
Damn it.
You can be, though.
That's all right.
It was a while ago.
Like years ago?
Oh, like a year ago.
I was still part of this.
Yeah, but it was an interview before we...
Oh, that's fine then.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not good at interviews. As you saw in this episode, I'm Eric.
I'm Perry. This is My Bourbon Podcast.